everyone, welcome back to a channel where we talk about things. My name is Katie and I am an aspiring wedding and portrait photographer here in the lovely state of North Carolina. And today I'm wearing two sweaters because it is like 50 degrees here in North Carolina. It went from like a sampling of fall, like 70 degrees to 50, like real quick. Today I want to talk about my pricing strategy for my photography business. Now, I am a aspiring wedding photographer, so my prices and packages may look different if you're a family photographer or a senior portrait photographer or just a portrait photographer. But I'm going to share my experiences, how I created my packages, how I created my prices, and mistakes that I've made, and now like what I'm doing going forward. So I put on my glasses so you know we're talking about business. The first thing you need to do when deciding your prices as a photographer is decide what kind of photographer that you want to be. Now, I mentioned before, I'm aspiring to be a wedding photographer, wedding portrait photographer, but you may not want to be a wedding photographer. Our prices are going to look very different. You may want to be a family photographer. You may want to be a lifestyle photographer. Maybe you want to do product photography. Whatever it is, you need to decide what you want to do. You need to decide your niche or niche if you're fancy. With that, you need to decide what kind of editing style you like, what editing style that you do or you want to do, like what kind of photographer do you want to be and how are you going to edit your photos? Because a lot of people think it's just light and airy or dark and moody, but there's like a whole spectrum of different editing styles, and some I don't even know how to classify. Me personally, I classify myself as a bit more light and airy. However, I do like color. I don't like everything to be pastel, and I don't like everything to look like washed out, you know what I mean? So I'm light and airy-esque, but whenever I was deciding my pricing strategy, I looked up light and airy wedding photographers in North Carolina because that's the kind of like classification that I want to be in. Those photographers' style is what I associate myself with. The second thing that you need to consider your pricing strategy is, what is your goal? Now, I'm going to share with you my goal. My goal currently is to book more weddings and create a credible portfolio. I'm very new to the wedding industry, the wedding photo industry. So I need to build a credible portfolio. That being said, my prices need to be pretty low compared to other photographers that I one day aspire to be compared to. What is your goal? I mean, if your goal is to book more high-end clients, maybe it's time to raise your prices. Whatever your goal is will determine your pricing strategy. Like I said, for me, I'm just starting out in the wedding photo biz, so I need to be priced really competitively. The third thing that I did and that you should definitely do is a price analysis in your area. So we already decided what kind of photographer we want to be and the editing style that we choose, what our goal is. So now see what other photographers are doing in your area. I said this before, I searched light and airy wedding photographer in North Carolina, and I looked at many websites. I looked at many pricing sheets, pricing pages. I mean, you can look on the Knot or Wedding Wire. You can look at all these things and see kind of what photographers are charging in your area. And every area is different because, I mean, I live in North Carolina and I would say photographers are pretty reasonable here, but maybe if you live in California, LA, photographers could be more expensive. I have no idea. I just said that out loud. I just said that place out loud. I have no idea. So you need to do research. If you follow photographers that you aspire to be like, look at their pricing. Just start there. You gotta do a competitor analysis. You have to look at what the pricing range or the average pricing is in your area. So for North Carolina, in my area, the average wedding photographer is about $3,000. That's their average package on average is $3,000. So now I know, based on the photographer I want to be, the editing style I want to be, what photographers are going in my area. My goal is to book more weddings and build like a credible portfolio, build up my credibility and experience. I have to be priced very competitively, that means I need to be priced low. Not too low, but lower than $3,000, okay? Which to me, that also says that's a goal that I'm working towards. I'm working to be average. Woo! I'm working towards the $3,000 price range. That's what that tells me, and now that is a future long-term goal. So the next thing you need to do is honestly evaluate your work compared to those other photographers and evaluate the quality of your gear. Now, I said compared to other photographers, and comparison, as we all know, is, how does the quote go? Is the thief of joy or something. Don't just go around sitting and comparing yourself to other photographers. I definitely get trapped in that, but I have to remind myself I'm just starting out. Maybe I'm not quite at that level yet, but that is just a goal to get there. But because I'm not at that level yet, I shouldn't be charging those prices. That's what I mean. Evaluate your work. Now, if you truly, like for example, if you are a family photographer and you were pretty successful with that, and now you want to go into the wedding space, but your pictures are on par with other wedding photographers, then no, you don't have to be like me and price super low to get your foot in the door. You can start out with average prices or above average prices if your picture's already good. Just evaluate the quality of your work compared to other people in the niche that you want to be in. And also, evaluate the quality of your gear. Now, I 100% believe to my soul that it is not the camera that makes the photo, but the photographer, because I know I've second shot with people who have way fancier cameras than me. You gotta understand light, you gotta understand posing. Your photos will look better if you understand those things with a lesser quality camera than if you just have a fancy schmancy camera and you don't know what to do with it. Your gear should be evaluated when determining your price. Now, I have a pretty high quality camera and prime lenses, so some people will pay extra if you have prime lenses, to shoot your wedding. But again, like at the end of the day, you matter more than your camera. Like, the photographer makes the picture, not the camera, but it's just something that you should consider. Again, if you're shooting all with prime lenses and you have a great portfolio and you're shooting really high quality photos compared to other people in your area, then your pricing should reflect that. If you have, a beginner set or a beginner kit of a camera and you're just building your portfolio and you're getting your foot in the door, your prices should reflect that. That's what I'm saying. Don't just sit around and compare yourself to other people, especially people who, this is what I do. I compare myself to people who've been doing this for like 10 years, and I've been doing this as a business for 1 year. Oh, why aren't I as good as someone who's been doing this for a decade? Like don't do that. Don't do that. Don't be like me. Don't do that. This is a tip that I found online, is start with a per hour rate and then build packages from that. And I will tell you, I read that and I didn't do it. But I did see when doing my, pricing analysis in my area, I saw what people charged for, an hour portrait session, because a lot of the times with certain photographers you could book a wedding or you could just book like an engagement or a bridal session with a photographer. So I did kind of look at that, and that is around the $300 range in my area. I priced very low compared to that. Actually, I started at $150 for an hour session, which is so low in my area. I don't know if that's low in your area or if that's like super expensive in your area, but that's where I started. And then I kind of built packages from that, but I didn't do direct math. I really wanted to, if you booked more hours with me, you got a better deal kind of situation. I wish I would have been like, okay, I'm gonna start at $100. Now, a 6-hour wedding will be $600, and an 8-hour wedding will be $800. So then it would just be a lot easier to keep track with the math, but you know what, we're here. Whenever I decide to change my prices and raise them, which I'm hoping to raise my prices sometime next year, I'm gonna make it a lot easier to do the math. So start at a per hour rate, that's probably the easiest thing, and then build up from there. Just make it easy on yourself and don't just make up numbers like I did, okay? For a wedding photographer, create multiple packages. So I have 6-hour wedding packages, 7 to 8 hour wedding packages, 9+ hour wedding packages. Packages 2 and 3 have an engagement or bridal session included. And then I also have, you can do an hour, you can do 2 hours. But the thing that I did wrong was I had too many options. And I actually used to have my pricing on my website. Now you need to email me to get my pricing sheet. I used to have an investment page with all of my different packages and pricing, and I think that information just kind of overwhelmed people because there's so many options to choose from, and I think it's easier just to have options and then customize from there than trying to think of every customization in the book. Moving forward, I am going to tweak my packages. Like I said, right now, I have a 6-hour package, 7 to 8 hour, 9+ hour. I'm going to change those actually this week to be 6, 8, and 10-hour packages. It's so much easier. Honestly, just simplify it the best you can because I get confused and I'm sure other people get confused. And the last tip I have, I guess, is revisit your pricing as your business grows. Like I mentioned, I'm planning on raising my prices sometime next year, but that's what you're supposed to do. As your business grows, your price should grow. And I think maybe there's a price point that you would like to be at. Maybe it's the $5,000 for a wedding range, or you could be Caitlin James, the queen of all photographers, and be at the $10,000 price range. And I don't know if I would ever get to that point, but evaluate your pricing. Make sure it's reflecting the type of work you do. And if you take $5,000 portraits, charge $5,000. You need to continually evaluate yourself and evaluate your pricing as your business grows. So that is all I have for you, and that's where I'm going to end today's video. I hope you find these tips useful, and I hope that you don't make the same mistakes as I did. Yeah, so if you thought this was helpful, sorry for rambling so much. I'm in a weird mood today. It's like already dark, and what time is it? 5 o'clock? It's dark outside. If you like this video and you found it helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like content like this, please subscribe. I've mentioned in a previous video, I'm going to start doing more videos with my husband that aren't necessarily photography related, but I'm still going to be doing videos like this. I'm still going to be updating you on my journey because I'm really just starting out. Yeah, if you like this kind of content and you want to see more of me, you can hit subscribe. But until then, I'll see you next time. Bye!